what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Footcandle Films. Film news and reviews from two guys who really like movies.
This episode is brought to you by the Footcandle Film Society. For a schedule of upcoming screenings and membership information, visit the Society's website at www.footcandle.org.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Footcandle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. My name is Alan Jackson. With me is Chris Fry. We are with the Footcandle Film Society and directors of the annual Footcandle Film Festival, recently completed. So the fact that we just finished our festival a couple weeks ago, or a week or two ago, means that, Chris, we have like maybe 30 days before we start talking about next year's festival, like start pimping it out.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, a little bit of time. So you guys get a little bit of a break. We're actually not going to talk about our festival for just a little while, but it won't be that long before we start talking about 2026. So we'll be excited to talk about that. In the meantime, though, while we're not talking about festival stuff, we do have some movie reviews, movie news, and some movie recommendations for you, all on this episode of Footcandle Films. Chris, I didn't even ask. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I've gotten some sleep since the festival, so that's always good.
I have not. I have really not. So I am still dragging, but glad to hear you caught up on a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, today we have a film to review, and we're going to be discussing the film The Smashing Machine, which is Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt, in a Benny Safdie film about UFC fighter Mark Kerr. We're going to be reviewing that film, and then we're going to show some trailers for some upcoming films. Chris, I have like 4 trailers I'd like to show, but we're not going to show all 4. I might just kind of do a potluck selection from those 4 and choose 2 of them that we'll watch.
That sounds good.
Anyway, all trailers I haven't seen yet. I don't know if you have or not, but we're going to talk about the films a little bit in those trailers.
Okay.
And I think you have a recommendation for us as well.
I do.
Awesome. So it's basically business as usual here on Footcandle Films on our podcast episode. So with that, let's go ahead and get right started with our first and only review today. It is the film The Smashing Machine.
Probably looking at my eyes.
How did that happen?
Well, have you ever heard of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the UFC?
That's the bloody thing they're trying to ban.
This guy is the best he has ever seen.
Do you hate each other when you fight?
Absolutely not.
How do you know Mark Kerr?
Oh, we go way back, but he's a buddy of mine.
Come on, baby. Too much?
Never.
Too much?
No.
Please welcome in his Octagon debut, Mark Kerr!
Winning is the best feeling there is. It's 40,000 people, and they're cheering you on. There's no other high like it in the world.
The Safdie brothers remind me of another pair of cinematic brothers, the Coen brothers. The Coens are known as a writing-directing duo that have made films like Raising Arizona, Big Lebowski, Fargo, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, just to name a few. Recently, though, Joel and Ethan have gone their separate ways and done individual projects. Joel doing The Tragedy of Macbeth with Denzel Washington, Ethan doing Drive Away Dolls and Honey Don't with Margaret Qualley. The Safdies, they're newer to the silver screen. They're known for making the indie crime thriller Good Times and then Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. The Safdies have now each embarked on their own separate projects. Josh directing Marty Supreme, starring Timothée Chalamet, that's due out in December, and Benny with The Smashing Machine, starring Dwayne Johnson. The Smashing Machine, as Alan mentioned, relays the real-life story of mixed martial arts and UFC fighter Mark Kerr, specifically focusing on events that occurred roughly, I think, between 1997 and 2001-ish. So this isn't like a life spanning, focusing on a smaller period of time. Alan, what did you make of this Safdie brother version of a biopic?
Normally with biopics, I'm the one who comes out and says, oh, don't try to do a whole birth to death or, entire life thing. I like it when they kind of focus in on one particular moment, one particular time period in their story, and like really dig in. If that particular time period or that particular element can tell us all we need to know about this person, it's kind of like emblematic. It's like, all right, I'm just going to look at this time period, but in doing so, you will get to know who this person is and know what you need to know about them. I feel like this movie maybe tried to do it did it. It was reverse of what I thought it needed.
Okay.
That I don't think it accomplished what I was hoping it would accomplish as a film.
Okay.
I think this is a really well-made, well-acted film that doesn't really amount to anything.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I felt like I don't know Mark Kerr really much at all. I feel like I see the results of Mark Kerr's experiences, and I see the effects it had on it at times. But I felt very disconnected from this film. I felt like I was watching an acting showcase, which again, I will say the acting is really good.
Sure.
And I think the filmmaking style is really good. I do enjoy the look of the film and the kind of the various forms of media they used to put it together, and just the way it was shot. It was a good looking film. And it was extremely well acted, but at the end of the day, I just don't feel like there was anything there really of interest story-wise. It's a pretty cut and dry. You got a fighter, he's top of the world, and he has some setbacks, and okay. That was it. It's like,
sure.
There was really nothing else to glom onto. At the end of the film, I've just found myself wondering, okay, I don't really understand what this film existed for, other than to put on a good acting showcase. And yeah, that was it. So anyway, it's good in that in the technical ways it needs to be good, but it just didn't amount to anything for me that I feel myself like thinking about it afterwards, or feeling like I really truly know who Mark Kerr is, or why I should care about Mark Kerr. That's the thing I kind of got away from it. It's like, I don't really know why I should care about this guy,
right?
And care about his story, because it seemed pretty pedestrian. Yeah, there's drama, but I mean, it was, I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's just, I'm of two minds with it. I ultimately, I'm going to come out and say I didn't really care for it, just because I don't think it really did anything for me, but I will admire it for its technical prowess, and I'll admire it for the acting that's involved, because we'll get to the acting in a little bit. I definitely want to talk about that. Anyway, that's where I am with it, Chris. What's your thoughts?
I'm going to take, granted, listeners of the podcast, if you've been listening, you kind of know that Alan and I work together. We've known each other for a long time. We're friends. I'm going to go ahead and say, based on the knowledge I've known of you, you are not a UFC fan or a MMA fight fan. You don't anticipate their fights. Have you actually seen a UFC?
No,
okay.
I don't believe so.
I don't believe I have.
Although I understand we're going to have one at the White House in a few months, so yay.
Yes, I'll leave that there. So yes, I remember we talked about this film in kind of our coming attractions section, our news section. We talked about it and we were like, oh, that's interesting. And, so I think the way I looked at it is, I know what MMA fighting or UFC fighting is, but I don't really I wasn't interested in seeing it because that's just not a sport that I follow, just like I don't really follow boxing either. So I'm not really a fan of either. What I will say though, and it's interesting, I think you and I basically fall on the same level about how we feel about this movie, but I think because we've often talked about expectations, my expectations for this film were so non-existent that I came out just thinking, oh, it was okay. And I think we'll get to the acting. I think that helped. What kind of solidified my feelings on the film, and I wouldn't say, like you said, I think it's technically well made, the acting is good. But what I kind of found refreshing in a way is this isn't a Johnny Cash biopic. This isn't a Steve Jobs biopic. This is about somebody that you and I, not being fans of UFC or MMA, weren't really aware of this person at all. But what I come to find out apparently through the film is, especially the end when they put some words up on the screen that kind of let you know, like, they kind of say, yes, you are not alone in not knowing who Mark Kerr is. However, kind of the thesis for the film was this guy was pretty important. He kind of was around in UFC or that whole realm before it got to be huge. And he's just kind of a nobody, but he was actually very influential or very important. He was like a Larry Bird in the UFC fighting, right? You know, he was very important. And now he's just, nobody knows who he is. And I thought, like, oh, okay. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and that they don't really show like how he influences the sport today, because apparently he just kind of drifted away.
And I guess that's my issue with it, is that I don't think a biopic works if you have to wait till the text that comes up at the end to understand the significance of what you just saw. Because nowhere in the film did I get any indication that Mark Kerr really influenced the sport, was really like kind of a guiding force of it, or made it become popular. I never got any of that sense until the text at the end. It's like, oh, okay, so I'm supposed to now think back over the last 2 hours and now try to interpret it from what you're telling me here at the end. I don't know. It's like the film just didn't do a good job of explaining to me why. Why tell this story? Why is this an important story or person to explore? I'm sure he is. No, I get it. I mean, I did read up about him afterwards. I mean, I understand the impact he has, but the film, in my mind, did nothing to get me there, except some text at the end. So that's what I just get. It was a little disappointing in that regard, because I would have liked to have seen a little bit more about. I think the story is there about a guy who, yes, is influential in a sport that not many people know about, and it's starting to gain some attention, and he became kind of a main person for that, while in the background he is dealing with a lot of drama, a lot of struggles.
Sure.
That's interesting story. Okay. Like, you're on one side, you're this rising star, and like you're shepherding the attention of the sport and getting it to be more mainstream, and people are looking up to you, while in the background, well, things are not good.
Right.
Like, things are shaky and bad in your home life and your personal. That's an interesting way to approach. And we definitely got the drama part. We definitely saw the hardships and the bad stuff, but I didn't get any sense of why do I need to be spending 2 hours on this guy when hundreds of other people are dealing with similar issues and have similar drama. So why this guy? That's my question. It's like, why this guy? Why is there a movie about this guy? I understand why there is after reading up about him and hearing more about him, but the film didn't sell that idea for me. So anyway, again, I think we're similar in our approach on it, on it. I mean, and I'm coming out a bit more negative because of I just don't feel like the story really worked, but I think we agree on the technical side of the film that, technically it's a good film. So.
Well, in a way, I think so that, I kind of the leading question was, what'd you make of this Safdie version of a biopic? And it was interesting to me because, yes, obviously the nature of it, this person was a real person. We put the events on screen. So therefore, it falls into the definition of like a biopic. Sure. Mm-hmm. But what was kind of refreshing to me after reflecting on it is that it's like the biopic of the everyman. And that's what actually kind of makes it stand apart in that, yeah, this guy, if you don't do any research and you just watch the film, you're like, okay, yeah, but he had a drug problem and maybe alcohol problem as well, but definitely drug problem with opioids and stuff. And then he has domestic problems with his girlfriend, and it just was. And so, but at the end, it's just like, and then kind of the coda that we've been talking about that has some text on screen at the end, which I actually want to talk about because it's not spoilers. Mark Kerr's alive. So there's, that was also, that to me felt the most Safdie of anything and was actually really interesting. Are you
talking about the very ending?
Talking about the grocery store.
Yeah. So basically we see again, not a spoiler. Yeah. We see a scene that's just kind of cut right at the end of the film. It's like modern day, and you see a guy who looks a little bit like The Rock playing Mark Kerr. A little bit. You start to realize, oh, that's actually Mark Kerr in the grocery store, shopping for groceries, taking him out to his car, packing him in the car, and driving off.
And it is done. What I love that. I did too. And what I found even more interesting about it is they don't. it's not like winking at the camera. No, it's like a reality TV crew following him.
Yeah.
Because you can see it's like he's constantly kind of glancing at the camera. He's nervous.
He waits.
And he mutters the entire time, like, oh, you guys are still here. Like, kind of like going out to the parking lot. Like, okay, when are you guys going to cut? When can I start to be normal again? Yeah. I found all that very interesting.
That was a great ending shot.
Yeah.
I mean, no, seriously, I love that. That almost kind of turned the film.
Turn it around for you.
Oh, okay, got it. Again, but my takeaway is they're throwing text up on the screen while that shot's happening, and like basically saying this is why this guy was important. I'm like, okay, just give me some of that in the film. I want to see that balance, and I want to see that dichotomy in the film of anyway.
Well, and I think that's what kind of like both of us apparently really like kind of how the film ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're saying all this stuff like his name is Mark Kerr. This is him. He did this. But like the whole time you have the real life Mark Kerr on screen kind of bumbling around a grocery store, and he's like embarrassed and shy about being on screen. So it kind of works because here is all this text saying like, oh, you should know who Mark Kerr, and he's kind of like, like kind of mumbling around. Yeah. So I found it different enough and kind of interesting that it was like biopic about every man who just happens to be like this huge fighter and, put beatings on people and took beatings himself. So let's get to the acting.
Yes.
And also, I'm curious to you. My wife had the exact, because she went and saw this with me, which I was like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. She had the exact opposite take on Dwayne Johnson, who portrays, Mr. Mark Kerr. I felt like, even though I know it's The Rock, because you can't avoid going to see this movie without knowing he's playing the title character, and his voice, yes, sounds like The Rock. Never didn't sound like The Rock. But I felt like, I can't really put my finger on it, but like, he didn't look like The Rock. He did, but he didn't. Well, and then at the end, when he shaved his head, I felt he looked like The Rock. And then, but my wife was like, actually, I thought he looked more like The Rock in the beginning. And then when he shaved it and like got a goatee, he like shifted away. So yeah, prosthetics, but like
prosthetics work. It's subtle prosthetics work, but just enough to alter him. And I always have thought Dwayne The Rock Johnson is a talented person.
Sure.
And I've generally enjoyed his presence on screen, even though he's not been in a lot of films I'm fans of. I think his presence is always really
He's
strong.
never the problem with why you'd maybe didn't
No,
like the
he's
film.
not. I've never seen his performance and said, okay, yeah, that didn't work. He's really good in this movie. He's really good. And it's like, it's not even just a matter of, they did makeup where he looks unrecognizable. No, he acted.
Oh yeah.
And there were some scenes. There's a scene, I'll just say, after his first loss.
Yes.
It is a long tracking shot, which it was about the only moment in the film, Chris, where I felt like I really got to know this guy. And it's like a long tracking shot. You follow him forever down these hallways and all that. And
he's leaving the ring.
Yes. And he finally ends up in the locker room by himself and breaks down and just like, wow.
Up to that point, he had not lost.
No.
Which I think was another thing that the film mentions, but then I think that's something that could have made him very memorable to fans, is like, this dude never lost.
Right.
He was always winning.
And we saw the impact it had on him. I kind of wanted to see the impact it had on the rest of the sport.
Got you.
And, kind of put it in a broader sense. I get that this is a personal story and I want it to stay personal.
Sure.
But for me to buy why this film exists, I kind of need to know the bigger impact his actions were having. So, but his performance, I think, is great. I think Emily Blunt is great. I think, they're both really, really good in this. And they have some pretty tough scenes together that I think they knock out of the park. I mean, I think from a dramatic standpoint and from their acting ability, both are toe-to-toe were so good in a lot of these scenes. So
so recently, I think 2 shows ago, I recommended the dark comedy that came out, The Roses, about a couple fighting, with... So it's interesting, like that when you never feel uncomfortable because it's done as a dark comedy, you can kind of laugh at their strife. I don't know if I have ever seen marital arguments and fights on screen make me feel as uncomfortable as the ones in this movie. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh.
And that's why they worked, because I was like, I feel like this is a volatile situation when I'm sitting and watching. And the way they even would start a scene pretty pleasant with one another.
Oh.
And then you could just start to see it unraveling. No, this is no going good.
Right.
And it just went terribly wrong after that.
Yeah.
Again, it felt real. So I just feel like this film, I could almost see where the idea behind this film is. We want to put on an acting showcase for these guys.
Okay.
And here's a great way to do the story. Here's a great character for them to play or a person for them to play. We just want an acting showcase. We just want a documentary style biography acting showcase for these people. And I mean, if that's why this film exists, great. It accomplished that mission. I think it was really good. So I am definitely not faulting at all the performances in this because I think they're good top to bottom. There was a guy who plays his friend,
Mark Coleman.
Mark Coleman.
Right.
I don't know the actor's name offhand.
Ryan Bader.
He's also really good too.
He is.
And it's just, and his role, his role in the film is a surprising one where it starts at one point where I think I understand what his role is, and then it does evolve over time. And I thought it was going to be setting up a really interesting dynamic towards the end of the film.
In a fictional film,
that never
it would have gone differently.
Well, but even I didn't need it to go like in a Hollywood ending. I just needed more to understand the impact of actions that happened late in the film and how it affected their relationship.
I got you.
Because it had to have. We know it did. I mean, you can see it on Mark Kerr's face in the film. I mean,
Sure.
we know it did, but we never really got a sense of how or why. Or anyway, I thought there was some untapped potential for more mining of that story that I just... The film didn't seem very interested in really wanting to tell a story as much as it was, we just want you to get a glimpse into this guy's life. Okay, it's fine. But if you're going to do this about a biography about an actual real person, give me a reason to care more about it. So anyway.
Something I've found, I was expecting to dread a lot of the runtime of this film because I knew we were going to see mixed martial arts fighting. Granted, I know it was a film, so it wasn't a documentary. So, a lot of it, it's staged and things like that. But from the moment the film started, they start on a match. And sure enough, they're like, just going at it, beating each other senseless. And I was like, oh, I don't know. This is going to be a tough 2 hours. But actually, I felt like it was probably as restrained as a movie about ultimate fighting and MMA can be, in that they didn't show you people's noses break or exploding and like blood going everywhere.
Well,
Like
there's a couple moments where it was you get the sense of the violence involved.
Oh,
so, yeah,
absolutely.
But,
they don't shy away from it, but they don't exploit it as much as I think they could have. And I think a technique that I heard Benny Safdie being interviewed, and he said that it was kind of a conscious decision. The way they shot all the matches was from like ringside. So essentially they never go in the ring and follow the fighters around with the cameras. They always stay outside. So you see the ropes are like blocking your view at sometimes. They always stay on the perimeter of the ring. And I think that was an interesting, I've never seen, Raging Bull or The Fighter and all those different, boxing movies and, all the Rocky movies that are fictional. Never seen that done where it's like always keeps you at a bit of a remove, but yet you're right up in the action. Sure. And I thought that was interesting. And I actually appreciated the fact that they didn't, they didn't shy away from the intense violence or the stuff happening, but I felt like they did show restraint where they could have made it a lot worse.
Yeah, And no, I agree. The opening of the film actually really worked for me as well.
Okay.
Where it's very much 80s VHS footage shot. Yeah. And then it cuts to, videotape recording of a fight. But the second the fight ends, or they're waiting for the guy that's on the floor, he's down for the count, it cuts to actual film, the actual film footage of the movie, widescreen, and you're still watching the same ring, but now you're seeing it kind of, okay, now the TV's off. I'm watching this for real. And that's when this had such high hopes for me as a movie, because this opening was so good. You see Mark Kerr during that videotape archival footage, just being a fighter and being really good. But then when we cut to actual film of the movie, he's still in the ring,
Right.
but now he's walking up to the ref. He's like, is the guy going to be okay?
Right.
Like, he's like, honestly, a good guy. He's like, hey, is he okay? I mean, are we okay? And the ref's like, he's fine. He's fine, type of thing.
Right.
And like, yes, okay. That moment gave me more insight to this guy than unfortunately a whole lot of the rest of the film did. So
you needed more of that.
yeah, I need to know him more from that perspective. So anyway.
And so yes, that was an interesting moment, which that could have been investigated a little more. Also, I feel like the moment, which some may not care for, him in a doctor's office, and he's kind of sitting out in the lobby,
That
and
was
there's
also very good.
and there's a woman, sitting there too, and she's like, can see he's been like, his face is disfigured, he's been punched in the face. She's like, whoa, what happened there? And he kind of says, well, this is what I do, this is what I'm here for. And I thought that was interesting. And I think, okay, here again, it's weird. I'm not defending the film, but I think because I admired the filmmaking, and although, it's not going to be one of my favorite films of the year, it's something that makes it a little different, where that they do give you those two insights that you and I both have just mentioned that we liked, but yet it's like Benny Safdie is not interested in giving you he wants you to understand the everyman aspect of Mark Kerr, but doesn't want to give you a lot of details about Mark Kerr because he still wants Mark Kerr to be private in a way, which is the payoff of that is that grocery store thing at the end where it's like, no, this is a guy who's just going to, I don't know. It's an interesting experiment, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I think an experiment that ultimately didn't work,
got you. Okay.
but I'm happy that we got the performances and we got some of the moments that we got out of this film. So I do appreciate it for those things for sure. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to call out about this film. I mean, I think we hit the moments that I thought were really good moments. There's a character, I wanted to read up on him, Bass Rutten.
He was kind of like a coach.
Yeah. And I thought he was really good. I mean, I think he actually is a coach or is involved in the sport.
I think so.
I think Ryan Bader, who played Mark Coleman, actually is the UFC
Okay.
fighter, announcer. He's like he's in the sport.
Okay.
So
got you.
So these guys were a little more quote naturals, in the field.
Okay.
And it's great, but again, that was also an example of this character Boz. We kind of meet him midway through. We start to piece some ideas together of like his relationship with Mark Kerr, but it's never quite. It's tried to be maximized by the end. It tries to show you that tell you more about the relationship Boz has with Mark Kerr, but yet we never really got enough background to buy into it. It just seemed it seemed very hacked on or tacked on. It's like, hey, we got to have this guy who's like more of a motivational trainer guy for Mark, but we need him really late in the game, like here towards the end of the last fight, and that's about it. And it just, I don't know, it just kind of came out of nowhere, and I don't feel like it was warranted. But again, all the performances are great. So the way they played the roles are good. So, okay. Well, I'm good.
Yeah, that's the Smashing Machine.
All right. Yeah. I ultimately was disappointed in it, but strictly from a storytelling standpoint, technically and acting, performance-wise, I thought it was really good. But I needed more.
I'm curious to see what fans of UFC or MMA fighting would think of this film.
Yeah.
Would their knowledge, if they know things about Mark Kerr, and like, would they dislike it because they feel like they gave it short shrift, or would they feel separate? I'm interested to see what fans of this sport think of this film.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know how they would feel about it. Because it doesn't really celebrate UFC fighting. You actually see more of the downside and the negative side than you do the positives.
Any sport where you leave the arena and then you basically have a doctor standing by to patch you up, which I guess they do in boxing, but the stitching up your chin and doing all this stuff, and you're like, wow, that's That's brutal. So yeah, it doesn't shy away from that.
But I think if there was any celebration of the sport in the film, I think, fans would probably enjoy this a lot more, but I just don't think there is any celebration of it. So it makes it a tough watch for somebody who's a fan, I would think, of the sport. So anyway. All right. Well, that is The Smashing Machine by Benny Safdie, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt. It's in theaters now. Not doing great, not getting a big, huge audience, but there is buzz about Dwayne Johnson though getting some Oscar nomination, which at this point I'd be okay with.
Yeah.
I mean, if I saw that happen, I'd be yeah, sure.
I would hope, in addition to his performance, which I think is good, and it is not one. I feel like hair and makeup should get some significant just because of transformation. And I don't think it's like he's not like you've mentioned, he's not relying on that.
Right.
But it doesn't hurt,
Well, it's subtle.
It's
it's such subtle makeup work that, you kind of, I remember a couple times I'm just like, okay, that is The Rock I'm watching. That is Dwayne Johnson I'm seeing right there. But it's never overtly like he's wearing a costume or wearing makeup or doing something like that. It just feels it felt very real.
Which that to me is impressive.
Yeah, it is. It's very good work. Yeah. Okay. Well, Chris, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, it's Trailer-Rama time. We got some trailers to play. And then we'll also get to your recommendation before the end of the show. So you're listening to Foot Candle Films here on The Mesh. We'll be right back.
Want to discover great podcasts or maybe even start one of your own? Welcome to The Mesh, Western North Carolina's podcast network built for creators and listeners alike. From local sports and business to comedy and culture, The Mesh is home to unique voices and fresh perspectives. Do you have something you want to say? The Mesh can help you bring your podcast to life with the tools, support, and platform you need to be heard. Check us out at themesh.tv, where great podcasts live and new ones are born.
Welcome back to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. We had our review of The Smashing Machine in the first half of the show. Now, as we always do, we turn our attention to upcoming movies or news that we have to share. Chris, I did forget. I have one quick little bit of news, and then we're going to play a couple trailers.
Okay.
And the only reason I bring up this news is I thought it was a little interesting. It is a movie news about something that we normally don't get to talk about, which is a TV show that you and I have historically been big fans of. Maybe haven't talked about in recent years, but I know years past it was kind of a big thing for both of us.
Okay.
And it is now dipping its toe again back into the movie business.
The Simpsons are going to have another movie?
There
wow.
You go.
Okay.
The Simpsons movie has a sequel after 20 years.
Wow. I mean, it seems like
the Simpsons movie was back in like
2005. Wow.
Or 2006, somewhere in there. And now 20 years later, which again, the show's been on for
forever.
Gosh. At least 30 years.
Oh, I can't even. Yeah.
30 to 40 years. But the Simpsons movie is getting an official sequel, slated for July 2027. So we're still a ways off from it.
Ways off.
But I just thought that was kind of interesting. Chris, have you watched The Simpsons new episodes at all?
Not in a while. Probably at least 5 years. I try, but I've fallen down on this too. At least I would try to always at least watch the Halloween episode, right. But I've fallen down on that too. So I'm curious what they'll do for a movie, because I don't even remember. I vaguely remember. I think Springfield was under a dome for the first film.
It was a dome
with Mr. Burns causing that to happen. So
Well, the first one in July 2007. So it will be almost 20 years later when it comes out. Well, right at 20 years. Which is kind of interesting. So The Simpsons is getting ready to go into its 40th year as a TV show in a couple years.
Okay.
So it's almost like it did a movie at the midpoint at 20 years. Now it's doing a second movie at another 20 years. 20 years. Good Lord. Can't believe it's been that long. The original one earned $536 million at the global box office against a $75 million budget. So a big hit. It's kind of surprising they didn't do more quickly with that. But my prediction is I don't think it'll be as big as the last one was, because I think that just hit at the right time where the show had kind of hit a peak popularity and had been riding a peak for a few years. It was kind of a big buzz when it became a movie. I think it's going to be a drop off now, just because I know the show's still popular, but it's not at the numbers in our zeitgeist like it was 20 years ago.
Right.
But, it'll still be fun. It's going to be directed by a series veteran, David Silverman. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's who did the original one. I don't know who's directing the second one. So anyway, we will see what happens with that. One other little side note that I thought was interesting when I read this article about this in Variety is it just made the casual mention that this film, when it comes out in July 2027, will be taking the place of a, quote, untitled Marvel project, which has now been removed from the studio's schedule.
What?
Yeah. Well, Marvel and Disney kind of plot out and say, well, we're going to have a movie at this time of this year. And sometimes they have ones that are just like, well, that's an untitled movie. We have a slot open and we know we're going to put a movie there, but they haven't announced what it was. So what that means, though, is that, okay, in terms of movies for Marvel movies, because again, Marvel and The Simpsons live in the same universe, which is weird.
As does Star Wars.
And Star Wars too. You're right. We have the new Spider-Man movie coming out in July of 2026. Mm-hmm. Then we have Avengers in December 2026.
Okay.
Because now The Simpsons took over the slot in 2027, there are no Marvel movies in 2027 except for the second Avengers movie, which will be the following December.
Okay.
So there will be a year in between the two Avengers movies, nothing else in between. So really, between now, for the next 2 years, there's 3 movies. Well, actually, yeah, a little over 2 years, we got 3 movies from Marvel, which I think is okay. I think it's probably good. But boy, those Avenger movies all need to be good because they're kind of banking everything on them right now.
Sure. They're kind of putting Infinity War type pressure on those.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. So that's the Simpsons movie coming out summer 2027. All right. All right. Now let's talk some trailers.
Okay.
Let me make my decision on which ones to see because there are 1, 2, 3, 4 that I would like to watch. I will still watch all 4 of them at some point, but
fair
I'm
enough.
going to share 2 of them with you.
Okay.
Maybe I should let you ask. Oh, okay. I know one trailer for sure we're going to watch.
Okay.
But I'll let you pick the other one.
Fair enough.
Of these 3 trailers, which one do you care to see and talk about on the show? We can either do the 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple.
Okay.
Sequel to the movie that we just saw a few months ago. We've got Wuthering Heights, which is the Emerald Fennell adaptation.
Right.
Or we have The Mandalorian and Grogu, the new Star Wars movie.
Okay.
Which of those 3? I've already got one picked out, another
Right.
one I'm showing, but which of those 3 do you want to see?
You know, I have seen all of those trailers somehow, with the exception of, and this is the one I want to see, Mandalorian and Grogu.
Let's do that.
That's the one I want to.
We'll watch that in a second. But first, I don't know if you've seen this. I have not seen this yet.
Okay.
But I'm terribly excited now. The film is called Anaconda.
I have not seen
right.
the trailer for it, but I know the setup, which
Anaconda was a movie back in like early mid-90s.
Have you seen it?
No,
I don't
have.
think
I think
I've
it was
seen
one
it
of
either.
Jennifer Lopez's first movies. It was like, big anaconda killing people.
right.
So now this version of Anaconda here, 2025, is going more the comedy horror route, where we have Paul Rudd and Jack Black playing friends going through a midlife crisis, and they decide to remake a favorite movie from their youth, which is Anaconda, and encounter unexpected events when they enter the jungle. Already, I'm on board. It's like,
Yeah, I mean,
you got the right people.
right.
I love the premise. I'm like,
Right.
let's do it. It's a meta commentary on a film. It's a comedy. I mean, yes. So I hope the trailer gets me just as excited.
Do we know if this is a teaser or is this an official, like, full length?
I think it's an official trailer.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
So let's check it out and watch the trailer for Anaconda.
And 5, 4, 3, 2.
You don't say the last. It's okay.
Anaconda. I don't want to wait, man.
Doug, what are you talking about?
Let's do it. Let's reboot Anaconda.
Yes.
Wait.
What?
This is going to be the adventure.
All right. So, Chris, any immediate thoughts?
So I think on the last show, we saw the trailer for Song Sung Blue, the Hugh Jackman tribute band about Neil Diamond thing. And I was like, now I know the perfect movie to go watch Christmas Day. However, this apparently is coming out Christmas as well. Yes. So it could be an interesting pairing. I don't know. But I'll see it. But there again, with this type thing, it's like, hopefully I didn't see every good joke in the
there's
trailer.
Always that concern, yeah.
But I'll give it a shot just because, I like Paul Rudd. I like Jack Black. Why
It checks
not?
all my boxes for me. So I hope it's at least decent. So, but it looks like fun. So I'm excited with that. Was that,
Steve Zahn?
Oh yeah. I know Steve Zahn was Danny Newton in it.
I believe so.
Interesting. Yeah. That was cool. Okay. So that's Anaconda coming out December 25th, Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, everybody. Go check out Anaconda that day. All right. So you chose The Mandalorian and Grogu, the new Star Wars movie. I think this Jon Favreau, I believe, is directing it. So with that, why don't we take a look at this? I have not seen this trailer either.
Okay.
So let's take a look and see what we're in store for here on the Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Okay. So that was the teaser trailer, I believe. I mean, it's kind of it didn't really give any plot
Give it like a
away or
storyline.
anything. It's
Sure.
just kind of some images from the film for The Mandalorian and Grogu. Chris, we haven't really talked about Star Wars a lot lately because there really hasn't been a lot to talk about.
That's true.
The movies have kind of stopped, for a while. This is the first movie in that Star Wars universe since when?
The Rise of Skywalker?
Was it? They haven't there's not been a standalone movie since then, huh?
I don't think so.
Everything's been on TV, like
Right.
shows.
Which was the Mandalorian stuff. We had the Book of
All
Boba
right.
Fett. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And then we
So-
had the Acolyte, I think. Was that?
right. That was
Which
on,
I did
that was
not
a show.
see.
And also the Skeleton Crew,
Okay.
which I did not see either.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the first movie since the unfortunate Rise of Skywalker film. Thoughts? Interest?
So the reason I picked, when you gave me the option, although I'd seen the other trailers, the reason I picked this one, not only because I hadn't seen it, I was curious. I am grew up with Star Wars, loved Star Wars, liked most of the movies, but not Rise of Skywalker, as you kind of alluded to. I was interested to see if I was going to fall back into the Star Wars fold or get interested in the franchise. And I don't think this is going to be the movie to do that. I'm kind of surprised that they are gearing this up as a movie and not just cutting it into another season of The Mandalorian. But maybe it's the push to try to get people back in theaters, and maybe that's it. I think if ever there was, not that Star Wars movies are geared towards, obviously they're kept PG-13 or whatever, but this looks like a movie for kids. Obviously, you've got Grogu running around, and isn't he cute? So it's like an entire movie of a main character paired with an Ewok, except it's Grogu.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm interested in seeing it. If I hear it's really good, then maybe I'll go see it. But, you know, interesting tack for them to take, like instead of pushing out a Star Wars film, like, you know, that a canon Star Wars film or whatever, which I guess, but you know what I'm saying? They're pushing out a Star Wars film that is specifically, seemingly targeted towards younger audiences. So I'm like, well, that's an interesting,
audience,
that's an interesting branch to take.
There was a lot of the Grogu cuteness going on in the trailer, which obviously you're right. That's kind of playing for that angle a little bit more. It doesn't seem to be a film that seems to be too serious. It's going to have a lot of eye candy, a lot of creatures, a lot of fun stuff on screen, possibly. You know, I say do it. I mean, it's obviously Star Wars. I mean, you gotta try something to kind of reconnect with some audiences, and maybe you need a film like this to kind of get that young audience kind of reconnected to the universe. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it could be fun. I hope so.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll see. My question is, will we ever see Pedro Pascal in it? Because I know his voice is there, but I thought it was funny. The trailer, like, you got a bankable star like Pedro Pascal, and we're not going to see him. I guarantee you, you might get one glimpse of him. And it's probably for budget purposes as well. They don't have to.
So you're saying you don't think he's actually in the film except with his voice?
So.
Yeah, that could be.
I mean, I could just see that.
Yeah.
Pedro's in a lot these days, so, you know.
Yes. So you could spend, you know, a couple of weekends in a narration booth and call it a day.
Yeah.
Got you.
I can kind of see that maybe being the case. I could be wrong, but
sure.
That's the feel I got. It's like, if you're going to do a teaser trailer and you've got a bankable movie star in your film, you ought to show them, and they're not showing them. Which, again, I get it. When the first season of The Mandalorian came out, that was kind of the whole shtick, is that they don't take off their helmet. You don't ever see who they are. And we didn't really know who Pedro Pascal really was either. He was not a big name at that point. It wasn't until like the second, third season, the helmet started coming off a little bit. You know, we started to see him a little bit more often. I would not be surprised if he was pretty non-existent visually throughout most of this film. So,
sure.
Anyway, we will see. I'll be curious to see how this thing turns out. What was the date on that? Was it next summer?
Oh, I didn't even notice. I think so.
Either. Hold on. I really want to find out before we move on here. That would be.
Which that kind of ties back to the whole Marvel Simpsons, which is Fox, and this is Star Wars discussion. Yeah. So it's like one of their films that they're planning to be big for that whole.
It's May of 2026. So about 7-8 months away from that. So yeah, as far as big Disney franchise movies coming out next year, it looks like we've got Mandalorian and Grogu in May. We've got Spider-Man in July. Yeah, that's going to be their kind of two big franchise movies coming up next summer. Okay.
Huh.
So with that, Chris, we are done with all the prognosticating and looking to the future. Let's go ahead and talk about the present with a film recommendation, something that you'd like to share with us as a recommendation of a film that you think maybe we should check out if we're so inclined.
Sure. So this will actually be a little bit of as most of the recommendations are, not all of them, but this will be a throwback to the past. It is a film from 2010. It is Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Wow.
So this is a film that I think I'd seen referenced, but seeing as we are in the month of October, spooky season, I do try to, for my recommendations, and just because it's fun to watch movies like horror films or stuff like that during this time, I saw this and I was like, actually, there was another film that came out this year called Clown in a Cornfield. I did watch that. I was like, meh, it's okay. But I saw a lot of people referencing Eli Craig as the writer-director. And I was like, okay, what's this dude known for? Well, he's known for Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So I was like, well, let me give that a shot. And I enjoyed Tucker and Dale versus Evil, hence why I'm recommending it. It is two hillbillies are suspected of being killers. The two hillbillies are Tucker and Dale, by a group of paranoid college kids camping near the duo's West Virginian cabin. As the body count climbs, so does the fear and confusion as the college kids try to seek revenge against the pair. So the whole, it flips some horror conventions on its head. It's kind of like a, not take off on screen, but it's kind of that same idea where like everybody knows like, oh yes, the hillbillies are supposed to be the bad people, and the college kids go into the town, they start dying, and they play with that idea. So it is a horror comedy, not just a straight up horror. But I found it interesting and fun to watch, and for the most part, unfamiliar with all the actors that are in it. Tucker and Dale is unfamiliar with the guy who played Dale, but Tucker was played by Alan Tudyk. So that was kind of interesting to see him as a more or less kind of a main character in this horror comedy. So, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. If you're looking for a horror film or, a seasonal film for spooky season that you haven't seen yet, I would recommend this one. Good news too is it is widely available. It's on Hulu. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Hoopla if you get it to your local library. So it's widely available. So, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil. All right. Well, thank you for the recommendation. I have never seen that. So.
Oh, and it is also 89 minutes. So it does never stay at
Chris Fry approved duration. So
right.
Good. Just squeaking out under 90 minutes.
Right.
So very nice. Is that 89 minutes with credits?
I believe so.
That's total. So really you're looking at about 85 minutes of actual content.
Yeah, it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Wow. Okay.
So,
Good deal. All right. Well, thank you for that, Chris. And that's going to wrap us up for today. So we had our review of The Smashing Machine. I came out a little on the negative side of it, but still can admire elements of it. Chris was a little higher on it, but I think we had some similar accolades to give to the film as far as the things that worked. We had our trailers for Mandalorian and Grogu. We had a trailer for Anaconda, a remake of the B movie from the 90s.
Right.
And let's see. And we talked a little Simpsons movie update as well. So with that, Chris, how can anybody get a hold of us to talk more about anything we talked about in this show if they wanted to?
You can send an email to info@footcandle.org. You can leave us a voicemail via the contact page on the mesh.tv website. You can follow us on Facebook at Foot Candle Film Society, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter. We're at Foot Candle Film. Al and I are also on Letterboxd, where we attempt to track what we're seeing and leave quick takes. Do us a favor, if you like the show, consider giving us a star rating, write a review, share with friends on whatever service you receive your favorite podcast on, because it'll help us reach new listeners, and we'd appreciate it.
All right. Well, with that, we are going to wrap things up. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time. Take care.
See you in the ticket line.
Watch films in the company of like-minded people in the dark. Watch films in the underground. We won't let anyone know where you are. The films that don't make it to Carmike at the mall, or ones that were famous when Grandpa would watch films out of the reverence of the heritage of an art. Watch films through the courtesy of Foot Candle Film Society.
Special thanks to Carpal Tuller for the show theme music. For more about Carpal Tuller, visit www.carpaltuller.com. You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.